What these agents are? These agents are agents which can act against viral infections or which can act against viruses. So how we can how we can kill the viruses? Viruses are in fact they are not normal cells. They are not living as like bacterial cells or the fungal cells or like other any microbe. They are composed of only nucleic acid covered in a nucleocapsid, and no any cytoplasm is there, no any cell organelles are there. So in fact, they are not they are not true living organisms. When it is outside the when it is in the environment, you can say that they are almost dead. But once it gets entry into some living organism, then it starts multiplying and it shows its virulence. So to kill such an organism which is already dead, which becomes living only it once it enters the human or the animal body. So the arresting the growth of or checking the growth of virus is a bit difficult, and and is a bit different also. You can check the growth of bacteria by preventing the cell wall synthesis, or by preventing the ribosome function, or by preventing protein synthesis, or by preventing the nucleic acid translation, or you can kill the different fungal cells by making holes in the cytoplasm in the cell membrane, so that the cytoplasmic contents may leak and the virus cell may die. But these mechanisms, but the scope of these kind of interventions is not there in, is not possible in a virus. Virus, as per se, it is only the nucleic acid which is enclosed in a proteinous cover called, which we say it as capsid. And once it enters any cell, then it starts, it takes over the machinery of the cell, and it utilizes the machinery or of the host cell, and it makes the multiple copies of itself, and then starts its multiplication and starts its pathogenesis. So viral chemotherapy is something different, and it is difficult also, because you are trying to inhibit viral functions, and and to inhibit the functions of the virus only without affecting the host machinery is also difficult, because virus works by taking over the host machinery. It takes over the virus, it takes over the host ribosomes, it takes over the cellular functions of the host, and then it starts multiplying. And we have to protect the host cell. Once we are giving any antiviral drug, we don't want to disturb the machinery of the host. We only want to check the growth of the virus. So this challenge, this situation is challenging. This is a bit difficult also, and that is why wherever antiviral agents are used, there is a lot of toxicity problem is there. Why toxicity problem is there? Because it is near to impossible situation if that you can only inhibit the viral functions without affecting the inhibiting the functions of the host. The host functions or the host machinery will also be disturbed. And when that situation comes, what is the problem? That means there is mammalian toxicity or the host toxicity. Our cells will also be disturbed, and we may have a lot of side effects or the toxicity. So another situation is also there, that virus cells, you cannot kill those cells. You cannot kill those viruses. What best you can do, you can check their multiplication. You can check their transcription or their translation. Those steps you can prevent, but you cannot actually kill the viruses. So all the viral cells, they are virostatic. All the antiviral agents are virostatic in nature. No any antiviral drug is virucidal. But in case of bacteria, we were having bactericidal agents. In case of fungi, we were having fungicidal agents. But in case of viruses, we don't have any virucidal agent. So that is the another situation is also there. And what best mechanism we can have? How we can inhibit the viral infection? Say for example, nowadays we all are suffering. We all are having a lot of challenge with the present situation of COVID virus, and how we can inhibit, how we can eradicate this virus. So what is the best approach that preventing infection, that you prevent that your cells or your body don't get infected? And what is the best mechanism? The best mechanism is that of vaccination, because you cannot kill this virus. What best you can do, that you can inhibit the growth of the virus in the cell. And we have very limited agents, drugs. In fact, we don't have any promising agent which can act against COVID virus, which can check the growth of the COVID virus inside the body. So what best we can do, we can make antibodies against this virus inside the body by means of vaccination, and then this antibody will neutralize the virus. So this is the best approach in case of any viral chemotherapy. So with this background, let's have a brief look at what is the structure of any virus. Any typical structure that virus, it may be either RNA virus or it may be DNA virus. So RNA or DNA is the nucleic acid. So the nuclear material inside the virus is protected inside a capsule, and that capsule we say it as capsid. So this capsid is proteinous in nature, and the individual units are known as capsomeres. And this capsid may be covered by some lipoprotein envelope also in case of some of the viruses. In some of the viruses, this lipoprotein envelope may not be there. But two structures, the nuclear material along with the capsid is there. So it's a very simple structure organism, and it is not having any sophistication that where you can target for killing this organism. Either you destroy the nucleic acid, only then in this virus can be dead, become dead. And to destroy the nucleic acid in the host cell of any virus without affecting the nucleic acid of the host is near to impossible situation. That's why we say that we cannot kill the viruses inside the cell. We can only check their growth. So let's see how viruses multiply inside the host cells. So what can be the different, what are the different steps by which a virus is multiplying inside a cell? So what happens? First of all, the virus gets attachment to the host cell. The virus attaches to the host cell membrane, and the host cell membrane may have some receptors like CD4, CD8 receptors or any other receptor which is providing attachment to the virus. And once the virus is attached, what will happen? The virus will try to enter into the cell. So the second step will be that of penetration. And once the virus cell penetrates the host cell membrane, after getting entry into the cell membrane, what will happen? It will try to uncoat itself. It will try to open itself. And the capsid will open, and the nuclear material will be poured inside the host cell cytoplasm. And now this viral nuclear material will try to take over the host cell machinery. And after taking over this host cell machinery, what will happen? It will start transcription of the viral genetic material, and the viral messenger RNA strands will be formed. If it is a DNA virus, if it is an RNA virus, what will happen? It will start reverse transcription. It will form the cDNA, cyclic DNA, and again the double-stranded DNA will be formed, and then that DNA will act as a template, and it will start synthesizing the messenger RNA and all these things. And once messenger RNA is synthesized, the translation of different viral proteins like the capsid or the capsomere proteins or any other protein will start. And once this nucleic acid and the protein has been formed, again multiple copies of the same will be there in the form of replication. And once a lot of copies of the genetic material and the capsule and the capsid protein has been synthesized, the virus will start assembling as multiple copies of the virus. And once multiple copies of the virus has been assembled, what will happen that those viruses will try to escape from that infected cell, and it may burst out of the virus infected host cell, or the host cell may burst also, or and in that case it will infect other host cells. So that is the natural mechanism, and from one cell, one virus particle, thousand of different viruses may be formed, and which may reinfect. So the growth of virus is very fast. Like the growth of any bacterial cell, it was slow, because one bacterial cell takes some 12 to 24 hours to multiply, to become 1 to 2. But in this case, it is very short. And that's why viremia, or the symptoms of viral infection, it becomes very fast. Similarly, by the same replicative cycle has been shown in the form of a diagram. And if it is in the case of DNA virus, and if it is the case of RNA virus, only first of all, the DNA has to be formed, which can act as a template for the messenger RNA synthesis. If it is RNA virus, it will form the DNA, and then these things. Only difference is there. Now, once we have studied this life cycle of the virus, and the challenge is that you, as a pharmacologist or as a physician, we have to check this growth of the virus. Where we can check? Can we prevent the attachment of the virus? We may not be successful, because the cell cytoplasm or the host cell cytoplasm is open, and anything can be attached. By some of the agents, we can prevent the penetration. In the next step, what is the best way? Because the virus will first synthesize the DNA polymerase or the RNA polymerase, which the enzyme which is responsible for replication of this viral genetic material. We can inhibit these enzymes by different drugs, and the viral genetic material replication of virus genetic material, or the inhibition of DNA polymerases, it can be done by lot of agents like acyclovir, vidarabine, foscarnet, ganciclovir. We will study these agents later on. So this is the principal mechanism of action, where we can inhibit the multiplication of the virus by inhibiting the polymerases, either the DNA polymerase or the RNA polymerase. And second, in the last resort, there are some drugs which prevents the once the multiple copies of the nucleic acid and the capsid has been formed, assembly is required. There are some agents which prevent the assembly of the virus. So we'll see what are the different antiviral drugs, and how they can inhibit the growth of the virus. So there can be three sort of mechanisms by which antiviral drugs can be prevented, their growth can be prevented. The first mechanism is that we can inhibit the viral nucleic acid synthesis. So it can be by interference with the transcription process. So there are some agents like edoxuridine and trifluridine. They interfere with the transcription. And there are some agents which interfere with the DNA synthesis by inhibiting the DNA polymerase of the viral DNA polymerase. And the agents are acyclovir, ganciclovir, cytarabine, vidarabine, zidovudine, ribavirin. These and many agents are there. These agents, in fact, they inhibit the polymerases, DNA and the DNA polymerases. And obviously, there are some agents which inhibit the assembly of the virus, like amantadine and rimantadine. And there may be some other agents like interferons and gamma globulins, which are formed inside the body. Gamma globulins are formed by means of vaccination, and these interferons are formed by interaction with the viral particles, and our host cells manufacture these agents and provides immunity or provides protection of the host cell towards the virus. So by these mechanisms, the viruses can be neutralized or their growth can be prevented. So coming one by one, you don't get stressed by a lot of agents. Try to memorize few of the agents and try to see their mechanism of action, how they are interfering with the virus. If you forget anything by revision, you can memorize, because there are so many agents. I have tried to simplify those agents, and only very salient features I'll be discussing. So the most important antiviral drug is acyclovir. You try to memorize the spelling and the name. It is acyclovir. So all these agents and a lot of acyclovir, valacyclovir, penciclovir, famciclovir, ganciclovir, all these agents are in fact acting against herpes viruses. So they are anti-herpes viral agents, and the mechanism of action is they all are nucleoside analogs. Now, you know what are the nucleosides? Now, the viral nucleic acid, if it is DNA virus, the viral nucleic acid may be composed of different purines and pyrimidine bases. And the purine base or the pyrimidine base along with the sugar, it is called nucleoside, right? And you in plus 2 you might have studied nucleoside and nucleotide. So this nucleoside, for if you want to replicate the virus, if the virus wants to replicate itself inside the host cell, what will happen? It will multiply. The nucleosides or the base sequences will be multiplying to so many copies. And these drugs, acyclovir, they are nucleoside analogs. Analogs, what is the meaning of analog? Anybody can say? What is analog? Analog? Anybody?
Sir, a structure same but a structure different but function similar.
Function same, yes, yes. So what happens that these analogs try to disturb the sequence of the nucleoside sequence of the viral genetic material. And what happens that by means of some of the mechanism, the prolongation or elongation of the genetic material is disturbed. We'll discuss. So what is the mechanism of action? Acyclovir is converted to its active form, acyclovir triphosphate. And this activated form of acyclovir drug, how it happens, it is done by the viral thymidine kinase. One enzyme is there, it is viral thymidine. Please mute yourself. So the enzyme, viral thymidine kinase enzyme, it converts the acyclovir to its triphosphate form, which is the active form of acyclovir. It is acyclovir triphosphate. Now, this acyclovir triphosphate form will inhibit the DNA polymerase by competing with the deoxyriboguanosine triphosphate. Now, this deoxyriboguanosine triphosphate is the nucleoside component of the viral genetic material, and it may be replaced by the acyclovir triphosphate. So some faulty genetic material may be formed, and that will interfere with the viral functions, and further prolongation of the chain will stop. So in that case, acyclovir is having very static action, and it is primarily acting against herpes viral infections. And this herpes viral infection is also there in animals. In cats, feline herpes virus is there. In horses, it is equine herpes virus is there. And also in birds, in Psittaceae family, these herpes cases have been found. So we can try these agents, and there is one more agent. It is valacyclovir. So in fact, what is this valacyclovir? It is also acyclovir, but it is a prodrug. What is a prodrug? Anybody can answer? What is a prodrug?
जो मेटाबॉलिज्म के बाद एक्टिव फॉर्म में बदलता है.
Yes. तो ये prodrug जो है, after metabolism, it is converted to acyclovir. So what is valacyclovir. Valacyclovir is prodrug of acyclovir. Got it? So how it happens? It happens inside the host cell by different enzymes. After metabolism, the active form acyclovir is formed, and accordingly it will act. Now, apart from this acyclovir and valacyclovir, there are other agents also. The other agent is penciclovir and famciclovir. Now, this acyclovir can be administered systemically. Now, this penciclovir is used topically because it is not very good as in systemic route. So this penciclovir can be used in herpes labialis infection. In fact, this herpes virus infection, you can see some of the spots near labia, near lips. So as topical creams, this penciclovir is used, and this famciclovir is in fact it is used as systemic by systemic route. So we are having lot many options. This acyclovir, valacyclovir, penciclovir, and this famciclovir. And why I'm just trying to enumerate some of the important agents. Obviously, the half-life of each and every agent is different. The pharmacokinetics and the pharmacodynamics of all the agents are different. So you are having a lot of agents in the armamentarium, your armamentarium, that which agent you can select for treatment of any particular viral infection. In undergraduate, we cannot discuss the pharmacology of each and every drug to a greater extent. What we have to know, the mechanism of action. The mechanism of action of all these nucleoside analogs are the same, because they are the nucleoside analogs. They'll try to incorporate into the genetic material and will disturb the genetic material of the virus. So the next agent is ganciclovir. So this agent is more potent compared to others, and the route of administration we can give by systemic route, by oral route also. So it is in fact better than the previous three agents. Well, next category agent is edoxuridine. So it is also a nucleoside analog. It is in fact the thymidine analog, and which acts against DNA viruses, primarily against herpes and the pox virus. And it is we cannot use systemically because it is having a lot of toxicity. So what best we can use only by topical route only. Okay. And the next agent is cytarabine and vidarabine. So there are also nucleoside analogs. In fact, cytarabine is cytosine analog, and this vidarabine is adenine analog. And they are active against a lot of DNA viruses, including herpes virus, pox virus, vaccinia virus, rabies virus, cytomegalovirus, and probably also against hepatitis B viruses. So apart from that, there are some other nucleoside analogs also are there, like ribavirin. So it is a guanosine. It is a guanosine analog, and it acts against both RNA and DNA viruses. So we can use this agent in hepatitis C, respiratory syncytial virus, Lassa fever virus, and influenza A and B viruses. So all these agents are used nowadays. We have to simply check their toxicity. That if toxicity is becoming alarming, then we have to switch over to another agent. The other agents are zidovudine and adivovir. And this zidovudine is one agent which can be used for human immunodeficiency virus or the HIV virus. And it inhibits the virus reverse transcriptase enzyme. So the formation of multiple copies of cDNA from the RNA is prevented. And this adifovir is a purine nucleoside analog. The last in the series is the foscarnet. For this foscarnet, in fact, before this agent, whatever agents we had studied, What was the principal mechanism of action? The principal mechanism of action that all those agents were trying to replace the nucleosides of present in the viral genome, viral genetic material. If it is purine analog, it will try to replace the respective purine by these drugs, and the faulty genetic material or the weak genetic material will be formed, which will not have any power of replication or transcription or anything like that. And further propagation of or the multiplication of the cells of the viral cell will be inhibited. Now this Foscar net is a bit different. It is a pyrophosphate analog. What is pyrophosphate analog? This nucleoside is attached to a phosphate, and this nucleoside and phosphate combined, it is called as nucleotide. So this Foscar net is attaching to the pyrophosphate, not with the nucleoside. And this pyrophosphate is present in adenine or purine, all the bases. So this Foscar net exemplifies excellent antiviral activity against both DNA and RNA viruses. And not only that, viruses which are retroviruses or which are having reverse transcriptase property, we can use this agent against those viruses also. So the mechanism of action of Foscar net is those of preceding antiviral agents in that it inhibits enzymes by binding at the pyrophosphate binding site rather than at the base binding site. So this is the peculiarity of Foscar net, and that's why it is working. Well, apart from this story, replacement of nucleoside bases with these agents, there are some other agents also. One very beautiful example, one very important agent is oseltamivir. Have you heard of bird flu infection, avian influenza?
Yes.
So before this COVID, this avian influenza was not declared a pandemic like COVID, but it was a great problem, and it was considered of zoonotic importance also, that infection from this H5N1 virus can be transmitted from birds to human beings also. And there were some cases of bird flu infection in human beings also. So this was the drug which can prevent the growth of the H5N1 virus. And how it prevents? So basically, this oseltamivir is a neuraminidase inhibitor. Now the H5N1 virus, H5 is hemagglutinin and N is neuraminidase. So it is in fact preventing this neuraminidase. And since this drug is useful for human beings, and this drug is showing a lot of resistance problems also, so the entire world community has taken this decision that we will not be using this oseltamivir for treatment in animals, because this is precious. This is a precious agent for treatment of those agents or those workers who are handling the avian influenza cases. So for human beings, this drug has been reserved for human treatment. So we should know how it's working. Apart from that, other agents are amantadine and rimantadine. So these agents have activity against RNA viruses, basically myxoviruses, paramyxoviruses, togaviruses, and other strains of influenza viruses. And this rimantadine is more potent. It is 3 to 4 times more potent than amantadine in case of influenza viruses. And what is the mechanism of action? It prevents the assembly of the virus after the lot of copies of the genetic material and the capsid has been formed. It will stop the assembly of the virus, and once the virus is not assembled, it cannot be excluded from the extruded from the cell of the host. So that is the mechanism. So its mechanism is a bit different, and this agent amantadine or rimantadine is having some other uses also. We can use these agents for treatment of pain. treatment of pain in human beings or the animals, because these agents they inhibit the neurotransmitter NMDA, and NMDA is considered to be a modulator in pain, modulates pain. So that is the additional use of these agents. Well, apart from that, one more last slide is there, interferons. So you might have studied in microbiology what are interferons. So interferons are, in fact, polypeptide molecules formed by the host machinery or the host cell in response to the viral infections. In fact, they are the cytokines. They are very potent cytokines which have antiviral, immunomodulatory, and other properties. And what is their antiviral actions are not direct. In fact, they are indirect. They induce a variety of antiviral mechanisms by enhancement of interferon responsive gene promoters within the host cells. And the interesting property of interferons is that once they induce an antiviral state in one cell, that cell can transfer this antiviral activity to other cells through cell-to-cell contact without requiring additional interferons. So that is one kind of immunity. You can say that if you have acquired some viral infection, and after only after a gap of 1 year, you may recontract the viral infection. And up to certain time, you won't be, if you have suffered from influenza infection, in that particular you may not have the second infection. Why? Because you may have developed these interferons in your body, which will in fact protect yourself from the reinfection. So 3 classes of interferons exist: alpha, beta, and gamma. And the last gamma is in fact the T lymphocytes. And interferons interfere with viral multiplication and the viral protein synthesis. So transcription and translation both are inhibited, and these interferons are being formed against both RNA and DNA viruses, and we can use these interferons against hepatitis B and C infections. So these were some of the very important agents which are having the antiviral activity. And why viruses? We are having 2 or 3 minutes time. If you have any doubt or question, we can take up. Otherwise, we can stop this class. Actually, this was a very bar-packed class. Lot of I cannot take much time because already we are in online classes. We are having only 3 lectures. Yes, please.
Yes. सर मुझसे आपसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था कि अगर आपने बोला कि सर वो साइडल वायरस जो होते हैं साइडल नहीं होते, इनहिबिट मतलब स्टैटिक होते हैं, स्टैटिक इन नेचर होते हैं, तो अगर इन केस ऑफ जैसे किसी मतलब हेपेटाइटिस बी है, अगर किसी मदर्स टू फीटस में अगर न्यूबॉर्न बेबी में चला गया है किसी कारण से, तो अगर हम उसका सारे वैक्सीनेशन या डोजेज है अगर वो सारा हम करवा रहे, उसके बावजूद भी क्या चांसेस है कि उसके अगर उनके इन फ्यूचर अगर जो बेबी है गर्ल्स बेबी है, अगर उनके मतलब हेपेटाइटिस से वो मतलब ये है सफरिंग कर रही है, अगर उसको वैक्सीनेशन लेते हैं तो जब उसके फ्यूचर में इन बच्चे होंगे तो क्या उनमें चांसेस बनेगा कि उनमें हेपेटाइटिस की मतलब केसेस देखेंगे?
एक चीज मैं बताना भूल गया, ये जो एंटीवायरल एजेंट्स हैं जिनका बताया मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन की वायरोस्टैटिक हैं, मतलब जो भी इनिशियल वायरस की काउंट है इनसाइड दी सेल उससे आगे नहीं बढ़ेगी, उतना ही रहेगा, वो मल्टीप्लाई नहीं करेगा। बट हमारे बॉडी में भी जो सेल्स हैं, देयर आर लॉट ऑफ सेल्स हैं जिनकी फैगोसाइटिक एक्टिविटी है, जो हमारे सेल्स में भी सो मेनी इम्यून प्रॉपर्टीज हैं। अगर तो ऐसा नहीं है कि वो सेल्स परमानेंटली वो बने रहेंगे, हमारे सेल्स उनको डिस्ट्रॉय करते हैं। तो जो बचे हुए अगर आप एंटीवायरल एजेंट से कुछ टाइम सपोर्ट करते हो तो रिमेनिंग ऐसा नहीं है कि वो जैसे कोविड मेरे को हो गया तो मैंने जो दवा दारू जो अपने ली और उसके बाद मैं ठीक हो गया तो कोविड वायरस अभी मेरे पास पड़ा हुआ है, ऐसा नहीं है कि हम चूंकि हमने तो कोई ड्रग दिया नहीं था कि उसको किल कर सके। हमारे सेलुलर मशीनरी में, हमारे डिफेंस सिस्टम में, इनफैक्ट हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम ने उसको डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया, तो वो गायब हो जाएगा। ऐसा नहीं है कि वो जनरेशन वाइज जनरेशन कैरी होगा, बिल्कुल नहीं। आप बॉडी को सिर्फ सपोर्ट कीजिए थोड़ा बाय दीज एजेंट्स। ओके, थैंक यू।